Most people anticipate the holidays as a time of joyful family reunions in which magical memories are created and family bonds are strengthened. Yet for many people, the holidays become a dreaded time in which unrealistic expectations and family friction create stressors that overshadow the happiness and can cause hurt feelings, as well as the sensation of being overwhelmed. As a board-certified family physician, I helped many of my patients navigate the treacherous waters of family interactions in ways that help them emerge with their physical and emotional well-being intact. It isn't easy, but as the saying goes, failing to plan is planning to fail. The first action to help reduce holiday stress is to predict what will cause the stress and have a response prepared in advance. Typically, stressful situations tend to revolve around the same topics from gathering to gathering, although they may vary from family to family. Common triggers tend to be accusations about dividing family time unevenly, questions about plans for marriage or children, employment status, religion, or political views. It could be that a family member always overindulges in alcohol or makes disrespectful comments. The key is to anticipate what will be your holiday stressor and how you will instill the boundaries to prevent or diffuse the situation rather than allowing it to ruin your holiday. Once you know what the hot topics will likely be for your family, the key is to set up boundaries. By stating your boundaries in a calm, clear manner, you may be able to reduce the stress before it becomes unmanageable. One of the most common stressors is the division of family time around the holidays. In the early years of our marriage, we would travel to the house of my in-laws for Christmas Eve. Then on Christmas Day, we would pile into the car and drive to my parents' house. Eventually, we realized that all of that driving was taking away from embracing our own Christmas traditions. So we set a boundary based on family love that we would have our own family tradition of spending Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in our own home. We got to experience the joy of our children waking up, creeping down the stairs, and squealing with joy that Santa had come. We let our family know that if they wanted to visit on Christmas Day, we would welcome them, but we also completely understood if they wanted to spend Christmas Day with their immediate family. Then we suggested that we get together the weekend before or after Christmas with extended family of parents, siblings, and in-laws. This allowed us to experience the joy of Christmas Day without the exhaustion associated with trying to get to multiple homes on that specific date. Other areas you may need to plan your boundaries for in advance are topics that you don't want to address, such as plans for marriage or children, employment status, religion, or political views. When any of those or other topics that trigger stress arise, you can have a calm response ready that delineates your boundaries, such as, "I prefer not to discuss that." Often, when faced with a boundary on a topic, the questioner will ask, "Why won't you talk about this?" It's important that you keep in mind that you don't owe anyone your reasons, even if it's someone you love. Therefore, you just repeat, "It is something I prefer not to discuss." This tends to keep the situation from escalating rather than advancing to the more abrasive, "It's none of your business." The first response is simply about you and your boundary. The second response makes it about the other person, and they may take offense. You can then change the topic to one that you're eager to discuss. If they again bring up topics outside of your boundary, just keep calmly offering the same response of, "That is something I prefer not to discuss." Eventually, they'll see that you mean what you say, and nagging you will not cause you to raise your voice, break down crying, or give them the information that they're prying for. Another boundary issue you may need to anticipate is that of physical space. No one should be forced to hug, kiss, or touch another person. If Aunt Lucy comes at you with arms wide open, you simply take a step back and say, "I'm not a hugger," or something similar. By saying it in a friendly tone and saying that you are not a hugger, you again show that you are not saying you don't love them, but simply that you have a boundary that you don't want to have crossed. Physical boundaries also may need to be enforced with people who like to touch your arm or even rub your back as they walk past you. This can be especially true if the person has been drinking alcohol. If unwanted touching occurs, taking a step back and saying, "Please don't touch me," delineates the boundary. If they then attempt the behavior again, it would be appropriate to move to another room or leave the venue entirely. If someone says something disrespectful to you, the first thing is to make them aware that it is disrespectful to you by asking, Did you mean for that comment to be as disrespectful as it sounds? Typically, they'll either say, that wasn't disrespectful, or can't you even take a joke? By anticipating this, you can have a response ready for either possibility. It's important to remain calm and in control when addressing the disrespect. If they say they're not being disrespectful, explain to them what is disrespectful about their comments as though you're teaching a 2-year-old. For example, if you're a stay-at-home parent and they say, wow, it must be nice to stay at home all day and not have to work, you first return with, did you mean for that comment to be as disrespectful as it sounds? If they say, I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just stating the truth, you explain, it is disrespectful to say that I'm doing nothing all day, as that is the same as saying my contributions to the household are worthless. I'm the one who makes the meals, cleans the house, helps the children with their schoolwork, takes them to their sporting events, doctor's appointments, and teaches them how to be contributing, respectful members of society. If they instead take the approach of saying, can't you take a joke? You could respond by asking, do you think it's funny to tell me that my daily contributions to keeping our household running are worthless? It is also important to have a united front. A husband or wife should not be willing to stand by while another person disrespects their spouse. You should support each other and be willing to leave a situation that is respectful to you or your family. It is also important to have an exit strategy planned. If someone crosses a boundary and does not appropriately own up to it and apologize, you need to calmly and efficiently leave the venue. You don't storm out, but you do leave promptly to show that you have enough self-respect to not continue to subject yourself or your family to disrespect. Once you've left and have time to replay it in your mind, you can decide if the infraction was serious enough to require no future contact, such as inappropriate touching, or if it was simply insulting. If the latter is true, you can start again fresh at the next gathering, but remain true to yourself with the boundaries in place. Keep in mind that you will need to recognize your own physical cues in order to remain calm and polite. It is much harder to maintain composure when you're hungry, dehydrated, or exhausted. Try to enter the encounter well rested, fed, and hydrated. Notice your physical clues, though, of racing or pounding heart, shakiness, or clenching of your hands or jaw. If you develop these warning signs, excuse yourself for food, water, or a break before returning to the stressful situation. Lastly, keep in mind that it is not your job to fix their character flaws. It is very unlikely that the other person will change their personality, but they can be made to understand your boundaries and what behaviors you will and will not tolerate. No one should be able to make you feel guilty for wanting to be treated with respect. And if they truly refuse to interact with courtesy, this is a them problem, not a you problem. Just as when you teach manners to a small child, you'll need to teach them that rude or derogatory comments or selfish demands will ultimately result in less time being spent with you, as you're under no obligation to be anyone's doormat or object of ridicule. And as they learn and adapt to your boundaries, you may find yourself looking forward to the family get-togethers rather than dreading them. If you found value in this video, please subscribe to my channel. And for other tips on living your best life, check out my playlist of videos on living the life you would die for.